Prison is often described as a place where creativity and intelligence slowly die. But for the people imprisoned within its walls, necessity becomes the true mother of invention. In this segment, we will examine the secretive and dangerous world of improvised weapons, a testament to the human ability to create even in the most extreme situations. These weapons, made from unexpected materials, are born out of a desperate struggle for survival, and sometimes from a daring attempt to escape. But before we start, if you're new to our channel, don't forget to subscribe so you'll always be updated with videos like this. Number 15. Shank. For a prisoner, the word shank means more than just its dictionary definition. It's no longer just a piece of metal. It's a symbol of power, control, and above all, survival in the harsh world of prison. The shank, a simple blade or weapon, is disturbingly common in correctional facilities around the world. It's a chilling testament to the resourcefulness of inmates, as it's usually made from ordinary and easily found items inside the cell. Making a shank is a secret operation. It's a silent rebellion against the control of the authorities. It's usually fashioned from seemingly innocent items like spoons, toothbrushes, or pieces of metal picked up from the very structure of the prison. Even if officials replace items with plastic to reduce the possibility of making weapons, prisoners continue to prove their perseverance and ingenuity. For example, spoons that make it out of the canteen are shaped for hours against the concrete wall or the floor until they become sharp blades. Toothbrushes are also smoothed, and their handles are lengthened on rough surfaces until they become sharp weapons capable of causing serious harm. Shanks made from scrap metal or wire taken from the workshop, fences, or even bed frames are more sophisticated. These materials go through labor-intensive processes. Sometimes they are heated using improvised stoves made from cans and small candles before being shaped and sharpened. In the end, one end is wrapped with cloth or tape to serve as a handle. That's why the finished product looks like a professional weapon. However, the shank is not just a tool for violence. It is also a symbol of rank and power inside the prison. Having one is a sign of strength and provides protection against threats, and sometimes a way to control others. There are also times when it is used in daring escape attempts, showing its purpose beyond personal conflicts. A well-known example happened in 1987 at the Atlanta Penitentiary in the United States, where Cuban detainees armed with various shanks controlled the facility for 11 days. Despite its frightening image, the spread of shanks in prisons is a clear symbol of human adaptability and resourcefulness, even in dark and dangerous situations. This shows a reality where the line between safety and danger is as thin as the blade of a shank, a chilling reminder of how far a person can go when they have no other choice. Number 14. Sleep gun. It really seems impossible to combine prison and guns, but inmates have repeatedly proven their ability to create improvised weapons, including what's called a gun or homemade gun. This is a frightening example of how resourcefulness and desperation can turn even the most ordinary things into deadly weapons. The principle behind a sleep gun is really simple. You just need a chamber for the bullet and a way to fire or ignite it. Despite the primitive design, this type of weapon is extremely dangerous and really hard to control, so it can harm not only the target, but also the user himself. The barrel or tube of the gun usually comes from pieces of metal pipe or tubing that are found from broken equipment or parts of the prison's infrastructure. The bullets for these can also be improvised, such as pieces of metal, stones, or even tightly rolled and crumpled paper that can be propelled when fired. But the truly unique part of the mechanism is the firing system. This is where the real ingenuity of the inmates comes out. They use different methods such as rubber bands or springs for mechanical impact, or matches and electrical wires to generate heat that serves as the igniter. A well-known case is the zip gun made from a metal pipe and a broken light bulb. The light bulb was used as an igniter when connected to a power source, while the pipe served as the gun for the improvised projectile. This is a hair-raising proof of how far invention can go when a person is in an extreme situation. Number 13. Toothbrush razor hybrid. For a prisoner, even the simplest item like a toothbrush can become a tool for survival. The toothbrush-razor hybrid is a weapon that is terrifying in its simplicity. A dental cleaning tool turned into a potential instrument of violence. The process of making it is really very straightforward. The prisoner will take an ordinary toothbrush and attach the blade of a razor to one end. This is often done by heating or melting the plastic so that the blade is tightly wedged and secured. And when it's finished, it becomes a weapon that's easy to hide but extremely effective. The plastic handle provides a firm grip, while the small razor blade can cause deep and dangerous injuries, especially if it hits sensitive areas like the face or leg. The toothbrush-razor hybrid is clear proof of how far inmates will go to protect themselves or gain an advantage. This shows the harsh reality inside prison, where even items that symbolize cleanliness and health can be turned into instruments of violence. Number 12, Molotov cocktail. Fire has long been a symbol of rebellion and destruction. Inside prison, this symbol becomes literal and terrifying in the form of the Molotov cocktail. It may seem impossible to create such a weapon inside the prison walls. However, the resourcefulness of prisoners truly has almost no limits. The Molotov cocktail is a simple homemade explosive that causes fire. It usually consists of a bottle filled with a flammable liquid, often gasoline or alcohol, and a piece of cloth that serves as a fuse. The cloth is lit before being thrown at the target, and when the bottle breaks, the liquid spreads and immediately ignites, which can cause a large fire. In prison, where it's hard to get gasoline or alcohol, the inmates become even more creative. They can use smuggled cleaning materials or liquid made from fermented fruit from the kitchen. The bottles can come from various sources, like empty medicine bottles, soft drink bottles from the vending machine, or even plastic that's been melted down and reshaped. The wick is usually made from torn cloth from blankets or clothes soaked in the same flammable liquid. And for lighting it, they use a lighter, or matches that were smuggled in or obtained inside the prison. In a controlled and enclosed place, this kind of weapon is really very dangerous, not just to the target, but to the entire facility. This is a hair-raising proof of how far a person can go when he has no other choice. Number 11, Crossbow. Sometimes, the weapons created inside prison are not only terrifying, but also impressive in terms of how improvised and engineered they are. One of the most extreme examples of this is the homemade crossbow, a weapon from ancient warfare that has been brought back to life inside prison walls. Making a crossbow requires a lot of materials, a long time, and a high level of skill. The body or stock is usually made from sturdy materials like broken furniture, wood from bed frames, or pieces of metal. The part that provides the force for the projectile to fly, the bow, can be made from tightly twisted or folded paper, or from thin but flexible metal. The firing mechanism is the most complicated part. It uses a string made from shredded rope or torn cloth, along with a trigger system shaped from wood or metal. Despite the difficulty of making it, there are documented cases where this kind of weapon has been discovered inside prisons. This shows the remarkable patience and ingenuity of prisoners, and how the art of weapon making reaches unexpected levels even within a tightly controlled environment. Number 10, radio heater hot plate weapon. Electricity is a normal part of modern life, but in the wrong hands, it can also become a dangerous weapon. Inside the prison, one of the most unusual examples of this is called the radio heater, or hot plate weapon, an invention made from an ordinary radio given to inmates. In essence, it's an electrical weapon created by rewiring the inside of the radio. Its heating element is modified to generate intense heat, like an improvised stove or hot plate. When used secretly and correctly, it can cause serious injuries, enough to be a deterrent or an actual weapon in conflicts inside the prison. However, making this is not easy. It's a dangerous process that requires knowledge of how electrical components work, as well as extreme caution to avoid getting caught by the authorities. Despite the danger, it can also harm the maker, and there have still been cases where this type of weapon was found. This shows how far prisoners are willing to go to protect themselves or to demonstrate their influence. A clear reminder that even things that seem harmless, like a radio, can become tools of violence inside the prison walls. Number 9, Chaco. Sometimes the most effective weapon isn't made from the most complicated materials, but from the simplest ones. One example of this is the Chaco, an improvised weapon made only from cloth and soap. This originated from prisoners who spoke Spanish, where the word Chaco is slang for a homemade knife or shank. But in this case, it refers to a particular version made from everyday items. To make this, the prisoner takes a piece of soap and wraps it tightly with cloth. Then it is soaked in water and left until it hardens. And when it dries, the bundle becomes a hard and heavy object, enough to cause serious injury when swung forcefully. At first glance, these materials may seem harmless, but inside the prison, where resources are limited, this kind of simple invention can become deadly. Chaco reflects the adaptability and resourcefulness of the inmates, a testament that even the most ordinary things can be turned into weapons when survival is at stake. It's a stark reminder of the reality behind bars. In that place, nothing is truly harmless because anything can hold hidden danger. 8. Bedpost Club. As the name suggests, the bedpost club is a simple yet very deadly weapon, made from the leg of a bed or any sturdy wood found inside the cell. Among the improvised weapons in prison, this one stands out because of its simple construction and truly unique impact. Cutting or breaking off a part of the bed or furniture is not an easy task. This takes strength, patience, and determination. But when you succeed, the result is a heavy club that can deliver powerful and destructive attacks. It's not as secretive or easy to hide as other weapons, but that doesn't matter. The bedpost club reflects the direct and straightforward form of violence inside the prison. No complicated mechanisms, no decorations, just pure strength and damage. It is also a harsh reminder of the cruel reality of life behind bars. A weapon born out of desperation and the need for self-protection. It shows the dangers that prisoners face every day. Number 7, glass shard knife. Glass is actually very rare to see inside the prison because of its obvious potential to be used as a weapon. However, on the occasions when it does make its way inside the cell, it can become the foundation for one of the deadliest improvised weapons, the glass shard knife. It's very simple to make. When an inmate gets a piece of glass, they just break it and choose a fragment with a sharp edge. Unlike other improvised weapons that rely on force or shock factor, the glass shard knife is a weapon of pure terror. Its blade is almost as sharp as a razor, capable of causing deep wounds that can be fatal. Because it's small and easy to hide, it's one of the most feared weapons inside the prison. This act of desperation shows how far inmates are willing to go, even risking their own safety just to have a weapon. The glass shard knife is one of the most terrifying representations of life inside prison malls. A world where even a piece of broken glass can become an instrument of violence. Number 6, rock hammer. The rock hammer is not a traditional weapon, but it has earned its own place in prison history because of its connection to escape attempts. It is a symbol of perseverance, determination, and quiet rebellion. A simple tool that can become the key to freedom. Making a rock hammer starts with finding a sturdy and sharp piece of metal. It can come from a part of a bed, a broken machine, or even just a nail. This metal will be attached to a handle, usually made of wood, and will be tied and wrapped with tape to make it sturdy. But the true power of the rock hammer is not in strength, but in patience. It is used to carve through walls, floors, or metal, little by little every day, often in the darkness of night or during moments when there are few guards. After using it, it is carefully hidden so it won't be noticed. One of the most well-known uses of a rock hammer was during the 1962 Alcatraz escape, one of the most famous prison breaks in history, where 3 prisoners used it to gradually make a way out. This shows that the rock hammer is not just a tool, but a symbol of intelligence and unbreakable hope of a person in the face of imprisonment. Number 5, gasper breathe. That's why the gasper or garrote is different from other improvised weapons in prison. It's not for open violence, but for silent and close-range attacks. a weapon designed so that nothing is hurt until it's all over. Its name comes from its terrifying ability to take away the victim's breath. It's usually made from thin but strong rope that's created by unraveling clothing or blankets. Some inmates use dental floss, tying pieces together to make it stronger. Both ends of the rope are fitted with handles, usually pieces of wood or plastic, to make it easier to tighten and control. When used, it's a deadly weapon in silence that doesn't require strength or noise to cause harm. The use of the gasper is a chilling testament to the dangerous ingenuity that can develop inside prison. It is also a reminder of the ongoing threat of violence faced by inmates. These are dangers that can emerge from the shadows, silent but deadly. Number 4, papier-mâché dagger. Paper is usually considered harmless, a simple material used for reading or writing. But inside prison, even this can be turned into a deadly weapon. The papier-mâché dagger is a surprising example of how an ordinary object can be transformed into a dangerous weapon, using only patience, ingenuity, and desperation. To make this, a prisoner gathers paper from any available source, such as pages from books, newspapers, or even tissue paper. The paper is soaked in water until it becomes a soft pulp. Then, it's shaped into the form of a blade and left to dry until it hardens. To make it sturdier, some even add melted plastic or toothpaste as an outer coating to give it a solid structure. And when finished, it becomes a weapon that's easy to underestimate at first glance, but it can be deadly in the right situation. The papier-mâché dagger is a weapon of deception. Because of its unusual appearance, it can easily get past inspections. But inside prison, where surprise can be an advantage, a simple piece of paper becomes a silent yet dangerous threat. This weapon shows the extreme resourcefulness of prisoners. It's a skill that develops when the environment is limited and survival depends on one's own strategy. Number 3, lighter flamethrower. Fire is one of humanity's oldest tools, a symbol of warmth, light, and power. But inside prison, it can become an instrument of fear. The lighter flamethrower is a chilling example of how an ordinary object can be turned into a weapon that spews fire. This is done by modifying an ordinary lighter to make the flame bigger and to emit a harmful liquid. Sometimes, the gas flow is simply adjusted, and in other cases, an improvised container is added, filled with alcohol or other flammable substances that are obtained or made inside the prison itself. The result is a simple device that can shoot out fire at a short distance, enough to intimidate, cause harm, or create chaos. Even though it's not as powerful as a real flamethrower, its shock factor is enough to give the user an advantage. In a tense environment, this kind of weapon adds even more danger and unpredictability. It's a dark reminder of how ordinary things can be turned into something destructive when people become truly desperate. The lighter flamethrower reflects the human ability to turn anything into a weapon. A simple lighter becoming a symbol of fear and domination within the prison walls. Number 2, broken dinner tree shield. Most improvised weapons in prison are for attacking, but there is another important aspect of survival, and that is defense. This is where the broken dinner tree shield comes in. A simple invention that can literally be a shield for your life. In a place where danger can appear at any time, even the tray used for eating can be turned into protection. It's easy to make compared to other weapons. You just need to get a sturdy tray, usually made of hard plastic or metal, and skillfully cut it to a size that's easy to hold. Sometimes they even sharpen the edge so it can also be used for attacking. But its main purpose is defense. In an actual confrontation, it can block attacks, significantly reducing the risk of getting hurt. And because of its size and durability, it can also serve as a barrier against multiple opponents, providing distance and control over the situation. This is a clear proof of the dangers inside prison, where even the simplest things have to be turned into tools just to survive. This is more than just an improvised shield. The dinner tray shield is a symbol of the ongoing struggle for survival inside the prison walls. It shows how inmates are forced to adapt to their environment, using whatever they have to protect themselves. In the end, what was once a simple food container becomes a lifeline. It's a reminder that in prison, nothing is truly innocent. Anything can become a weapon or a shield against violence. Number 1, knuckle duster. Inside prison, the fist is usually the first weapon for either defense or attack. But there is a way to make an attack even more dangerous: the improvised knuckle duster. It's a simple invention that can turn an ordinary fist into a deadly force. Its principle is to increase the impact of a punch by adding hard and heavy materials to the knuckle area. Making one requires creativity and resourcefulness. You can use any hard material available. An example of this is a roll of coins wrapped in cloth or tape to add weight and hardness. Others also make more complicated versions from melted toothbrushes, spoons, or pieces of metal found around the prison. It's not just about making weapons, but also about enhancing what the body can naturally do. Because the force is concentrated on a smaller and harder part, the impact of the attack becomes stronger, which can cause severe injuries or even break bones. However, carrying it comes with risks. If caught, it can result in severe punishment, including solitary confinement or an extended sentence. Still, for many inmates, the ability to defend themselves is more important than the fear of punishment. Because of this, the knuckle duster remains one of the most common improvised weapons in prison. It is a symbol of power and control in an environment where physical strength often determines who survives. In the end, the knuckle duster shows how far a person's intelligence and determination can go in the face of danger. A small object with a big impact that reflects the harsh reality of life behind bars.